My sister framed me for stealing Grandma's jewelry so she could inherit everything. I was disowned. She looked me in the eye and said, "You never mattered anyway." Years later, I discovered the pawnshop receipt with her name. At the family reunion, I placed it in her hand in front of everyone. Grandma cried. Our relatives walked away from her one by one. I said nothing. Just watched as she. I grew up in Rockford, Illinois, in a small one-story house with a driveway that always had someone else's car parked in it. We weren't rich, but we had enough. My parents worked a lot. Mom was a nurse, Dad drove long haul. That left me and Natalie to mostly raise each other. I'm 4 years older, and I used to think that made me her protector. Looking back, I was just her shield. From the time she could talk, Natalie had this way of getting people to listen to her. Even when she was full of crap. In middle school, she faked being allergic to strawberries just so she could get out of cafeteria duty. Teachers believed her. She made up stories about kids bullying her when they weren't. Got people in trouble. Made herself the victim. I didn't get it back then. I thought it was just kid stuff. But it didn't stop. Our grandma, Grandma Helen, was the heart of the family. She lived about 15 minutes away, in an old brick house she and Grandpa bought in the 60s. Grandpa passed before I was born, but Grandma never stopped talking about him. She kept his old record player, his army medals, his books. She had this little jewelry box in her bedroom that she never let out of her sight. She told us it was full of history and heartbreak. That's what she called it. We weren't allowed to touch it. Ever. By the time Natalie and I were in our 20s, Grandma was slowing down. She needed help. I was the one who stepped up. I fixed her sink when it leaked, mowed the lawn, took her to appointments. I didn't do it for points. I just did it because I loved her. Natalie? She showed up for photos. Took selfies with Grandma, posted them with hashtags like #blessed and #family first. But she never stayed more than an hour. If Grandma needed a ride or groceries, Natalie was too busy. I kept my mouth shut about it. Then one day, out of nowhere, everything crashed. Grandma had a fall. She broke her hip in 2 places. They put her in rehab for a few weeks, and during that time, I was going over to her place almost every day. Checking the mail, making sure the pipes didn't freeze, feeding her cat. Then I got a text from Natalie. Family meeting at Grandma's house. 7 p.m., be there. That was it. No context. I walked in and knew something was off right away. My parents were there. So were Aunt Rachel and Uncle Lou. Even Cousin Mark, who never shows up to anything. Everyone looked tense. Natalie was standing by the fireplace, arms crossed. She had this little red velvet box in her hand, Grandma's jewelry box. It was open. Empty. Before I could say anything, my dad said, "Sit down, Evan. This isn't easy." Natalie didn't wait. "You've been going into Grandma's house while she's been away, right?" I nodded, slowly. "Yeah. To take care of the place." She tilted her head like I was a kid caught sneaking cookies. "And no one else had a key, right?" I looked around. Everyone was staring at me. "Okay. What is this?" I asked. Natalie held up her phone. "Here's a picture I took last week. Jewelry still in the box." She swiped to another photo. "And here's what I found today. Empty. You're the only one who's had access." I shook my head. "No. No way. I didn't take anything. You told me you were behind on rent," she said, her voice getting soft. "I thought maybe. I don't know. Maybe you were desperate. I tried to cover for you." My mom started crying. Dad looked like he wanted to throw up. Aunt Rachel asked, "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" "I didn't steal anything," I said louder. "You think I would rob Grandma?" Natalie didn't flinch. She just walked up to me, leaned in close, and whispered, "You never mattered anyway." I froze. She stepped back, put on a sad face, and told everyone, "Maybe we can forgive him in time." But right now, Grandma's devastated. That was it. No police. No trial. But I was done. Cut off. My parents told me not to come around. Aunt Rachel said it was best if I stayed away. No one even asked me if I was okay. I texted Grandma that night. No reply. I called the next morning. Straight to voicemail. She never answered again. 6 years. 6 damn years. I moved to Kenosha, started working at an auto repair shop. Lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, stayed to myself. I'd go months without talking to anyone in my family. Every now and then, I'd see pictures on Facebook, Natalie and Grandma, smiling at brunch. Natalie wearing Grandma's old pearl earrings. The same earrings that were supposedly stolen. I felt sick every time. But there was nothing I could do. They believed her. And no one cared what I had to say. Then came that Thursday. I was cleaning out a junk Toyota Corolla we'd brought in for scrap. It had been sitting for years, full of old fast food bags and crumpled paper. I was going through the glove box when I found a folded receipt. It was faded but still readable. Rockford Pawn. Dated 6 years ago. 3 days after that family meeting. Listed items: gold wedding band, silver coin bracelet, brooch with blue stone. Sold by Natalie R. I just sat there, staring at it. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I took the rest of the day off and drove straight to Rockford. The pawn shop was still open. I walked in, showed the receipt to the owner, and asked if he remembered who sold the items. He glanced at it, then at me. Yeah. Blonde girl. Said it was family jewelry. Something about inheritance. I asked if he still had anything. He went in the back, came out 10 minutes later with a small tray. On it was the silver coin bracelet and the wedding brooch. I bought both. Cash. No haggling. I didn't even feel angry. I just felt numb. Then I started planning. I found out about Grandma's 90th birthday from my cousin Julia. Big family reunion. Everyone invited. Even extended family I hadn't seen since I was a kid. They were renting out a banquet room at a hotel on the east side of town. I didn't RSVP. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I just showed up. The banquet room was full. Probably 50 people. I recognized most of the faces, though some had aged more than I expected. There were decorations with big gold balloons that said 90, a photo collage of Grandma through the decades, and some caterers setting down trays of food. I stood at the doorway for a second. Nobody noticed me at first. Then Julia saw me. Her eyes widened. She gave me a slight nod but didn't say anything. She knew something was coming. I stepped inside. People started turning. Whispering. Some froze mid-sentence. It was like walking into a courtroom where everyone already had a verdict. Natalie saw me next. She was wearing a pale yellow dress, hair done up like she was the guest of honor. She stood next to Grandma, who was sitting in a high-backed chair with a blanket over her lap. Grandma looked thinner, more fragile than I remembered. Natalie's smile dropped the second our eyes met. I didn't smile back. I walked up slowly, calmly, and stopped right in front of them. "Hi, Grandma," I said. Her eyes squinted at me. "Evan?" I nodded. "Yeah. It's me." She looked unsure. Her voice was quiet. You came." Natalie stepped in. "I told you not to invite him," she said loud enough for the nearby tables to hear. "This is just like him. Always making it about himself." I turned to her, still calm. "Let's not do this right now." She narrowed her eyes. "You're not welcome here. Leave." That's when I pulled out the folded receipt. "I just want Grandma to see something," I said, holding it out. She reached out with both hands and took it. Her hands were shaking again. She opened it slowly, adjusted her glasses, and started reading. It was quiet. Too quiet. Then I pulled the coin bracelet and brooch from my jacket pocket. Wrapped in tissue paper. I handed them to her. Her fingers touched the brooch and froze. Her breath caught. This was my mother's, she said softly. I thought. She looked up. Right at Natalie. What is this? She asked. Natalie's whole body tensed. I don't know. He probably faked it. Evan always was a liar. But she wasn't controlling the room anymore. Aunt Rachel walked over. What is that? Grandma handed her the receipt. Aunt Rachel read it. Looked at Natalie. Then back at me. You sold this? She asked. Natalie stammered. It was a misunderstanding. Grandma said I could borrow. She never said that. I interrupted calmly. And the date on the receipt is 3 days after you accused me. You said you didn't know what happened to the jewelry. But you pawned it. People were starting to gather. Whispering louder now. Uncle Lou stepped closer. You set him up? Natalie's voice rose. No. He stole it, and then tried to blame me. This is his way of getting back at me for telling the truth. I didn't say anything. Just stood there. Grandma looked at her. You told me Evan betrayed me. I didn't know. Natalie said too fast. I thought you told me he admitted it. Grandma said, her voice trembling. You made me cut him out of my life. Natalie's face twisted. I was trying to protect you. You ruined him. Grandma said, eyes filling with tears. That's when it happened. The first real shift. Cousin Mark, who never speaks up, said, I always thought something was off about that story. Evan was the only one who helped Grandma. More voices chimed in. Yeah, and Natalie kept showing off Grandma's stuff like it was hers. She had that pearl necklace on Facebook last year. I thought Evan moved away. I didn't know they pushed him out. Natalie looked around, panicked. You're all going to believe this? Over me? Over your own family? That's when I saw something shift in my mom's face. She stepped back from Natalie and sat down slowly in a chair, covering her face with both hands. My dad stared at the receipt. Then at me. I want to talk to Evan. Alone, he said. Natalie tried to follow. No, I need to. You've said enough. He snapped. The room was silent again. I followed Dad out into the hallway. He looked at me. Long and hard. Is it true? He asked. I nodded. Every word. He looked down at the floor. I failed you. I didn't say anything. I believed her, he said. Even when it didn't make sense. I let her turn us against you. I shrugged. You didn't even ask for my side. He nodded. I know. Back inside the banquet room, Natalie was unraveling. Trying to grab the mic from the DJ. Trying to explain herself. But the more she spoke, the worse it got. People were leaving. Quietly. One by one. She looked around in a panic, like she was drowning and nobody was throwing a rope. I stood in the back of the room. And I watched. I stood near the back wall, behind a table stacked with birthday gift bags, watching my sister spiral. Her voice kept rising as she tried to explain, spinning lies so fast even she couldn't keep up. But nobody was listening anymore. Natalie turned to Grandma again. Please, I was just trying to protect you. Evan was going through things. I didn't want him to hurt you. Grandma didn't say a word. She just held that brooch tight in her hand, the one she wore on her wedding day, like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. Then came the next twist. Uncle Lou, who had been quietly staring at his phone, walked over to Natalie. You said you pawned it to split the inheritance? He said flatly. Natalie blinked. What? 6 years ago, he said. That's what you told the pawnshop guy, right? That the family was splitting the inheritance? She said nothing. Her face went blank. So, where's the money? He asked. What are you talking about? She said, but her voice cracked. You sold over $8,000 worth of jewelry. Where'd it go? I used some of it for Grandma's care. Bullshit, Aunt Rachel said, stepping up beside him. Grandma's bills were paid by her insurance and Social Security. You told us that yourself. Everyone was listening again. And then Grandma, who hadn't spoken for several minutes, looked up and asked, in a quiet, steady voice, Natalie, did you steal from me to buy that car? The entire room turned. Natalie's mouth opened, then closed. She looked like someone had pulled the floor out from under her. Because 6 years ago, not long after I was disowned, Natalie had posted pictures of a brand new black Audi with the caption, Work hard, reward yourself. People clapped back then. Congratulated her. She said it was from a bonus at work. Now? Everyone remembered. Grandma's voice didn't shake. Did you use my memories to buy a car? Natalie looked around, desperate for a lifeline. It was just a loan. I was going to pay it back. You told us Evan stole it, Aunt Rachel said. You let us cut him out. You let him lose everything. You watched him disappear. You lied to your own grandmother, Cousin Mark added. Then another voice chimed in from behind me. You also lied to me. We all turned. It was Ryan, Natalie's ex-fiancé. I didn't even know he was invited. He walked up to her, holding up his phone. You told me you had no debt. That your family was toxic. That Evan was some addict who stole from you and vanished. Natalie froze. Ryan, this isn't what it looks like. You know what's crazy? He said. I almost married you. I almost signed a mortgage with you. I met your lies and gave them the benefit of the doubt. But this? He held up the phone. This is your name. On a pawn receipt. 3 days after you cried to me about your evil brother. He turned to Grandma and handed her his phone. I pulled the public sale records for that pawnshop. The dates, the value, it all matches what was missing. Grandma read it slowly. Then, without looking at Natalie, she said, Get out. Natalie stood there, not moving. Grandma, please get out. Still, Natalie didn't move. So Grandma turned to Dad. Make her leave. He hesitated, but only for a second. Then he grabbed Natalie by the arm. She jerked away. Don't touch me. But no one helped her. Mom stood with her arms crossed, eyes red, but she didn't stop it. Aunt Rachel turned away. Uncle Lou shook his head. Natalie looked around again, but the room had gone cold. Everyone watched her the way people watch a fire that got too big. Fascinated, a little afraid, but knowing they're not going near it. She stormed out, heels clicking fast, pushing past a waiter carrying a tray of cupcakes. The door slammed behind her. Still, no one spoke for a long time. Grandma looked down at the jewelry in her lap. Her hand rested on the brooch like it was a wound she couldn't close. I loved her, she whispered. I believed her. I took a few steps forward. I wasn't sure if I should say anything. Then she looked at me. Do you hate me? I swallowed hard. My chest was tight. No. But it hurt. She nodded slowly. I'm sorry, she said. For all of it. I didn't say anything right away. The truth is, yeah, I wanted to say I forgave her. That everything was okay now. But it wasn't. 6 years of silence, 6 years of being treated like a thief by the people who were supposed to know me best. Those things don't just vanish. She saw it on my face. You don't have to forgive me, Grandma said. But you need to know, I see it now. I see everything I chose not to see. She motioned for my hand. I gave it to her. I let her poison my heart. She whispered. And I'll never get those years back. There were tears in her eyes. But not the kind she had when she believed I was guilty. These were real. Raw. She was ashamed. Behind us, the rest of the room stayed quiet. The DJ had shut the music off. The food went untouched. That party had turned into something else entirely, somewhere between a courtroom and a funeral. My dad came back in, sat across from me, and cleared his throat. I should have asked for your side. I didn't. I was angry, and I took the easy path. He slid something across the table. A bank envelope. I stared at it. It's not enough, he said. But it's a start. We sold Grandma's old house last year. I convinced everyone to split it 6 ways. You should have gotten a share. I didn't take the envelope. Not yet. Aunt Rachel came over next. Then Uncle Lou. Each said the same thing in different ways. They believed a lie, and they let me fall alone. Nobody had reached out. Nobody asked questions. They let Natalie run the whole damn narrative, and they just went along with it. I finally spoke. You didn't just believe her. You erased me. My mom came over last. Her face was pale, and she looked like she hadn't slept in years. I had my doubts, she admitted. But I was scared of the truth. It was easier to believe Natalie than to accept I'd raised a daughter who could do something like that. I didn't say anything. Because what was there to say? 3 weeks passed after the party. I stayed in Rockford, partly because I needed time, partly because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with everything that had come out. Then came the knock. I opened the door to find Natalie standing outside the motel room I was staying in. Her face was bare. No makeup. Her hair was messy. She looked thinner. I need to talk, she said. I didn't say yes. I just stepped aside. She sat down on the edge of the bed and stared at the floor. I didn't mean for it to go that far, she said. I laughed once, bitter. Really? I thought you'd bounce back. I thought they'd get over it. I didn't expect you to vanish. You made me vanish, I said, my voice low. You didn't just lie, you enjoyed it. You looked me in the eye and told me I never mattered. She winced. I was angry. I always felt like Grandma loved you more. I stood still. She did, I said. Because I was there for her. Because I didn't treat her like a photo op. Natalie rubbed her eyes. I messed up. I lost everything. No, I said. You threw it away. She reached into her purse and pulled out another envelope. This is what I got from the pawnshop. What's left of it? I want you to take it. I shook my head. Keep it. You'll need it more than me. She looked at me like she wanted me to say it was okay. That we could move on. But I didn't give her that. Instead, I said, You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry you got caught. She left without another word. The fallout wasn't over. Grandma updated her will. She wrote Natalie out completely. Instead, she gave that portion to a local shelter for abused women and kids. I want my pain to help someone else, she told me. Dad stepped down from managing any family finances. Uncle Lou and Aunt Rachel took over, and this time, they made it transparent. Cousin Mark offered to set up a trust for Grandma's long-term care, one I'd help oversee. They didn't just say sorry, they started acting like they meant it. As for Natalie, she lost more than just Grandma's trust. Her job fired her after the truth came out. Turns out she'd used a fake story about taking care of her sick grandmother to get extra vacation time. Ryan, her ex-fiancé, shared the truth with mutual friends and clients, and her side hustle in real estate took a hit. But the worst part? No one came to her wedding. She tried to plan one with a new guy, some accountant she met a few months after the party. Only 5 people RSVP'd. She canceled it a week before. It's been over a year now since that reunion. I didn't move back to Rockford. But I bought a small place about an hour away, close enough to visit Grandma every weekend. I help her with errands, take her to the park when the weather's good, and we don't talk about the past unless she wants to. She still keeps the jewelry box on her dresser. Now it has a note in it. Handwritten by her. Forgive yourself, even if others don't. I didn't get revenge by screaming. I didn't destroy Natalie by shouting the truth. I just let the truth speak for itself. And in the end, That was louder than anything she ever said.